Oh, okay, cool. All right, awesome.
And I'm a co-host. Yes, I am the co-host. I'm moderating tonight, so it's my show. What's up, folks? MCU's Bleeding Edge, the MCU's Bleeding Edge Report, Monday evening, 11/11/24, here to talk about the Penguin, discuss the Penguin finale, episode 8. Great finale, great show. For the first time with us, we've got Nick. Nick, tell us where you're coming from, brother.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for having me. I am coming at you live from Miami, Florida.
What's the name of your podcast? It's the Geekable Podcast, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, Geekable Podcast. Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, we appreciate having you on. Obviously, this is your first time with us, so just so you know, what we're going to do is once we get past our introductions, we're just going to go right into a synopsis of the episode and just break it down, from start to finish. And I'll chime in and get you guys' opinions, as I get through the syllabus of the episode. So Andre's a pop culture guy. You ready for the Penguin, sir?
Yes, I rewatched it today, and I'm just very sad that it ended this week. Such a great show, one of the best this year.
I know, and they what do you guys think? Can you believe that that the Penguin killed off Vic? Isn't that crazy, Nick? I couldn't believe that shit.
It's so crazy. It's crazy because just when we were really beginning ourselves as the audience to trust Oz, the Penguin, as a character, he goes and does probably the worst thing to make the audience despise him. Because by the end of the episode, I mean, there's no other word to really describe how we felt, right?
Well,
I think that's
we'll get into that part of the episode when we actually get to it. But since it's your first time with us, Nick, just to start us off, I'll ask you, what's been your feel for the series all the way through, from start to finish, and then I'll ask you the same thing, Andres.
Totally. Yeah, no. So, and first of all, thank you so much. Honor to be here. Great to be here with you guys. Appreciate the invite onto the show. So excited to get onto this. Jeff, when you sent me the syllabus for episodes you get coming up, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer to pick the Penguin one. I haven't liked a comic book related show this much since probably WandaVision. WandaVision is probably my favorite all-time comic show ever. I was at the edge of my seat every single episode, every single week. This is, I can't say it beat it. I just got to call it a tie. It's like a 10 out of 10, basically, if you're going to ask me. I mean, seriously, I think that's the only way to put it. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, WandaVision is 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Type shit. So we're with you. We're with you on WandaVision. If I had to, Andres, we'll have to do a rating show sometime. And go back, and I'll get a hold of you about it, Nick, and just rate all the old Marvel Disney Plus shows now that everybody's had some time to kind of,
right.
That
spoilers,
around your head
everything.
A little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go back and redraft all of the that first set of the Marvel Disney Plus series with everything, and have everybody do their picks. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be. I'd listen to that 100%.
We like WandaVision. We'll talk about WandaVision all day long. We re-reviewed WandaVision. Me and Andres did earlier this year, I think.
You know what? It's one of the sins as a huge fan as I am that I actually haven't rewatched it. Really, I think I've rewatched it twice, but it was so long ago. Dude, I mean, that show came out. That show is old news at this point. What is that, 4 years ago? Is that 2020? Is that 2019,
yeah,
2020?
2021.
Damn,
2021 is 3 years.
God, I'm like, it makes me feel old. But yeah, love that I'm in the presence of fellow WandaVision enthusiasts. But just keeping it on the talk track of Penguin, I only compare you can't really compare the two. There's totally different shows, but my God, Penguin episode 8. Sorry, 8. 8's the final one number, right? Or is it 9? There's 8 episodes. 8 was just, dude, I left with a full belly as a fan for so many reasons. But I felt that way all throughout the show. And if I'm going to say one thing too, I hate to be that guy, and if you guys want to steer me off this train track, go right ahead. But I wish that the Marvel Netflix shows that have basically the same budget basically the same concept, whereas captivating as Penguin, because it's a street level show. It's a crime show at its core. And it blows everything else away. Am I on the right track here, gentlemen? You guys want to derail me? Agree with me? Where am I on that spectrum? Because I think new standards have been set by this show. I do believe that.
There you go, Andres, the pop culture guy. You can address that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's sort of tough with Daredevil because Daredevil I think is the closest to be competitive because I feel like the Daredevil and Kingpin relationship is the best superhero and supervillain relationship, and I think that's been the strongest aspect about the show, where the other Netflix shows I think like kind of don't have that level, after their first seasons, like Jessica Jones is great as the first season with David Tennant as Kilgrave.
Yep.
But then after that show like just goes down.
I didn't even like it after that. I didn't even like it after. Completely agree with you. Yep.
Yeah. So I think this show did a really good job of saying that you don't need the main hero for the story. And that was always the thing about these super villain projects that's been struggling. But this show proves that no, you got this great super villain, the Penguin, and we're going to tell you his story and why he's captivating and fascinating as Batman. And
I love that you say that word. Sorry to cut you. I love that you say supervillain. Love that you use that word. Yep, I'm right there with you, brother.
Yeah. And I think this, and I don't want to bring up Advoca, but I thought Advoca, these shows did a really good job of showing the supervillains well, instead of turning into anti-hero, which is good.
Yeah. After Agatha all along, they could kill off Agatha for all I care.
I do a strange model of comparison, Agatha to Penguin. I have to kindly and respectfully disagree with you that Agatha was on the same level as Penguin, but I get where you're going with it. Yeah.
I'm not saying they're the same quality. I'm saying that I appreciate they stick the landing of keeping them villains. Like,
okay,
they didn't do anything.
Yeah,
that's my fault. Yeah, no. Penguin's much better show.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Andres, pop culture guy? Do you have any thoughts on the season itself, heading into the finale?
Yeah, I'm a huge Batman fan. I mean, you see here my Batman shirt, and I'm not the biggest Penguin fan. So when I heard the show was announced, I was like, "Oh, okay, interesting." And
me too. Me too.
Yeah, but my God, since the pilot, it made me. This is my favorite version of the Penguin ever. Like it beats Dan DeVille, Burge Meredith, Robert Taylor from the Gotham. It's like it's the version that I really wanted. Excuse me.
Bless
you. I thought that this show did such a good job of reinventing the Penguin to a more grounded level, which I know a lot of people don't like. I don't particularly like it either, but I think the show really proves that. And for this Penguin, because I never really felt I would relate to the Penguin or find him fascinating. So I always appreciate the more different versions of the character in live action. And this version is really great. I really like this blue collar, super villain that wants to be appreciated. And it's similar to the version of the Penguin that we get some of the versions like Batman Returns. The interview wants some love because of what happened to him. And this is not, it's different, more that is more fast, Tim Burton, fantastical, and then this is more Matt Reeves grander realism. So I really appreciate it. But I also appreciate about this show is really expanding the world of the Batman. I really appreciate they brought in stuff from The Long Halloween and Dark Victory, with the Falcones, the Maronis, and more detailed way than say the Dark Knight trilogy. I really appreciate, adding more to those characters. I really love Sophie as this new version of this character. I'm very happy that she survived from this episode, and I'm very excited to see her hopefully in part 2. And I also really appreciate the making Gotham as a character. That was always something I really love about the character of Batman. like Tim Burton's world is very character based. I mean, I know people don't like Joe Schumacher, but like his world is very character, as well. That's one of the things that's really weak about the Dark Knight trilogy. Like Batman Begins is like, okay, a little bit of fantastical, but then Dark Knight is Chicago, because they're trying to be Heat. I get that. But then Dark Knight Rises, the geographic is just so over the place. I really appreciate since the Batman, we're making Gotham City as a character, really expanding from the comic books, Crown Point, and all that, Robinsonville, from the comic books. And I really appreciate that for this series. And I thought this finale, it really sticks the landing, giving this version of Pigman to be, the gangster we know from the comic books in a very organic way, which I like. So I'm very excited to talk about with this episode with you guys. And and it makes me wants to get more comic books of the Penguin.
Well, of course, the Penguin as a character lives in the Reeves Batman universe. So this doesn't connect to the Gunn DCU at all. What do you think about that, Nick? That where we're at with all that fact that there's going to be another Batman here, right. Pretty soon. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to have to pick one eventually.
Totally. And when you say pick one, do you mean one as like the main universe Batman? Do you mean one is?
Well, they're going to pick a Batman for Brave and the Bold.
Oh, you mean literally pick an actor? Yes, completely. I see. That's a great point, because I want to have so badly. I want to have the same level of investment into the James Gunn's DCU as I do like this show, right? I want every character to have a purpose, have a voice. Andres, you nailed it. The show was grounded, but it also felt modern. Like I could see this happening in the United States, like right now, call it. And that was the beautiful part about the Batman too, is that it played on like politics a little bit. It played on all these things that were kind of concurrent with it, right? Mass shootings, things like that at the end where you have that. So anyway, just staying back on that preliminary point that you bring up, I don't know how you top this Penguin. If you're going to bring a Penguin character into James Gunn's universe, I don't know. Big shoes. Colin Farrell. My God, give this guy an Oscar. What are we doing? Get this guy in line. Amazing stuff. That's all I got to say about that. Amazing stuff. Loved it.
Okay. Well, you know what? Since we got Cyber here, hey Cyber.
Hello.
We'll go ahead and get into the episode. Episode 8, A Great or Little Thing, is directed by Jennifer Getzinger and written by Lauren LaFranc. And it starts off with using EMG therapy, which is the therapy that we saw that was done on what's her name?
The mom, yeah.
Sophia.
It was done on Sophia too. Using EMG therapy, Rush learns that Francis already knew about Oz drowning his brothers and tried to have him killed, but could not bring herself to do it. So I'll stop there. That was a big section of the episode, that whole flashback scene and all that, and then it going back and forth between real time and the flashback. What'd you think about that, Cyber, that introduction of the episode?
I thought it was interesting that they decided to start it off with like kind of reiterating kind of that flashback we had already gotten in a previous episode, and it's actually having it with the actual mother as her age now. And, I thought it was interesting that she knew along this whole time. She found out that basically Oswald had killed his own brothers. And I thought that was like really interesting that she had known that this whole time. And then all of a sudden, this episode, she finally decides to kind of come all out with it and everything and like, say certain things and stuff like that. But I thought it was very interesting how they placed it out and just basically took out the other actress and put her in the position there, and having that same little kid being young Oswald talking to her and stuff like that. I thought that was just a really interesting, beginning to the episode, giving you some more insight into more things about the mother herself, and that she's not as, dumb as she tries to appear to be. So I thought it was a very strong start to the episode, reusing previous kind of like thought process and giving you more insight into that. So that really pulled me in and really gripped me into starting into this episode.
Okay, same thing, Nick. What'd you think about that introduction to the episode?
So before I talk about that, I would be remiss not to state one thing. And if you guys see me looking at my phone, I got my notes open for this episode. I came prepared. So look, we see in episode 1, probably my favorite scene out of the entire show. We see Penguin pop the brother there, the Falcone brother. Great scene. I love that so much. It starts because Penguin was talking so highly about this old-time gangster that he grew up with in his town. He was revered by the people. He helped the people. Yes, he was a little cruel, it sounds like, and had a little bit of an iron fist, but it sounds like this guy was, they had a parade in his name. And when the brother cuts him off in the episode, Penguin, basically lets him go, gives him a pretty long leash to can we swear on this show, by the way? You guys love swearing?
Oh yeah.
We cool with that? Okay. All right. So gives him a pretty long leash to bullshit Oz, and then Oz pulls out the pistol and shoots him. Because I think that Oz saw that this kid was going to pick up the family, and he was not going to be that way. He was not going to be this gangster that was respectable, that had like morals, right? I got air quotes coming out for listeners. That drives me home. Because for this episode specifically, I called it on my own podcast, on Geekable Podcast weeks ago. I said, you know what? The last episode, the people are going to love Oz. He's going to be a man of the people. And you saw that kind of bear fruition. He got the lights on in the city. He was giving people jobs. His own people loved him. They were ready to die for him, right? So it was really interesting to me, and I was like, see, if I was a betting man, I should take this to Vegas. Come on. Like, this is where it's going. By the end of the episode, the last episode, Penguin becomes Penguin, and he doesn't become this idol to people. He becomes this monster and this despicable person. So it's almost like, when Sophia killed everyone, including that little girl's mother and father, she became her father in a sense. And I think that by the end of this episode with the Penguin, I think he became the antithesis of that old time gangster that he grew up loving and respecting. And I think he became a monster. I hope that kind of answers your question, Jeff, but that was my huge takeaway from the episode as a whole leading up to the 8th.
Jeff, you mean it.
You guys there?
I can hear.
Could you hear all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was like, I just went off for like a minute, so I hope everybody heard that.
Andres, I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Okay, no, it's Jeff. It's just the internet for this area. Yeah, I thought the flashback was really great. I thought it was a great twist that the mom knew the whole time, and that episode really did a good job of showing that she allowed this person, this devil that she basically, say to the older Oz in the present day, that, she just let the devil live. And it's very true. And, I think it's tough because, she's a mother, and it's like you can sympathize her that she couldn't just kill, this one last main child. And, I think the Rex, what was fascinating about the flashback, the fact that this, gangster Rex gave her an opportunity, like a choice to either he can, take him in and like be controlled, to raise up into the, the criminal underworld, which would happen, or take him out, as usual, and I think, and plus the flashback was really cool to see this younger Oz. By the way, that actor is really great as the young Oz.
Really good.
I just it just captures that like the smugness and the very tricky penguin we see in the present day. That scene showed how Penguin's going to be. He's this pretty much liar, very manipulated person. He gets away so many things. We've seen the whole show. He gets away everything by just talking to people.
Yeah, that is one of the best parts of the show. That is one of the best parts. Oh.
And I think, and you see this kid. He literally tricked his mom. I will promise you to give you, what you really want, And so he got away from his red card of death by promising, all this thing that he was telling her this this old, as a young kid. And I guess she agreed, in her mind. It's okay, but she know in her heart that it was him and he did that intentionally. And it's what are you gonna do? It's because he has this persona of this innocent person, as this young kid, but then inside he's really a monster, as you say, Nick. And so I think that it just shows how Penguin is such a great manipulator and how he could get away with so many things. I mean, Sophie knows this. He's such a, well, I don't know what you say, a word, such a mouth person, a mouthpiece, just talking, through everything and it's all lies and all that. I mean, even Sal, the gangster for the Tries, I also say that he's such a rat and he swindle things, with all that it's so true, but he just does it so seamlessly because he knows how to put the words together and get people behind him, which we'll see towards the end of the episode. But yeah, I thought this flashback was great. It was great how they picked this up from last week by expanding upon the deaths of the brothers, because that was a big shock too. And so I think this twist was necessary. So yeah, I really love the flashback, and I think the production design was top notch here. You knew that this was the past. I really dug the visual thing of seeing the older mom instead of the young mom we saw last week. So that was really good to tell you that we're in that therapy that we saw briefly with Sophie in episode 2.
Good point. I agree. Yeah.
You're muted again, Jeff.
Yeah.
Fucking muting, man. So Oz is brought to Sophia, who makes Francis confess the truth. Oz refuses to admit his actions, even as Rush tortures Francis, causing her to disown him before suffering a stroke. Oz escapes, kills the detective, and brings Francis to the hospital. So I'll stop there again, and I'll go to you first, Nick. What did you think of that section of the episode?
So I mean, first of all, Sophie knows how to wedge a knife into someone, so to speak, by bringing Oz to the location with his mom of where, his mom was going to kill him and have that gangster kill him. So right off the bat, she's loaded. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows exactly how to hit this guy emotionally. And the thing is too, Oz didn't fold. He went the entire episode without actually admitting that he did it. Right? That is one of the most profound aspects of this whole episode. He never admitted it. And I felt bad for the mom, and I felt bad for her when we first saw her, because the entire time, guys, she's saying, please, Oz, I want you to do this for me. She's holding him to his promise as a, how old is he when he did this? When he said those words that Andres, you just brought up, how old was he? I don't know how old the actor is, but let's assume he's 11. I don't know. Let's assume that he's definitely not older than 12, I would think, right? Let's call him 11 just for the sake of, we don't know. But she's holding that to him the whole time. You said you'd put me in a great place. You said you'd get us out of here. You said you'd do all this the whole time. And then and then it's sad she has a stroke. And I had written down here in my notes by the end of the episode. I mean, do you guys think that Oz, is it in the realm of possibility that Oz is keeping his mom alive because he doesn't, her one wish, kill me if I'm going to be a vegetable, kill me. He's keeping her alive, looking out a window.
Can we wait until we actually get that to the end of the episode?
Sure.
Nick,
yeah, I was just tying it into your point there sure, we can wait. Yeah, but as a whole, that whole section, that whole scene, I don't know. It was really well played by Oz, really well played by Sophia. I loved every aspect of it. I think that as a whole, it was definitely one of the best parts of the show. I don't know. I thought Oz was going to fold. He didn't. And even Sophia, Andreas, you just said it best. Sophia knows him, knows he's a player, knows. I think she was even shocked that he wasn't willing to just go along with it and admit it and satisfy her. He wouldn't even do that to save his mom's finger. It's crazy.
There you go. What do you think, Andres, pop culture guy?
I thought this was really great. Because Sophie for the longest time wants to make Penguin suffer, and I think this was really very shocking and just very intense scene, well directed, and of course the mom was telling the truth and she knew about it. She just let it slide and tell her own son that I was perfectly fine. I was content with you, the three of us, four of us. But you have to, take away because you wanted the attention, and everything about you, everything has to be about you, right? And I think it's really true. And Sophie knows him so well. That's what a good, adversary should know. The yin and yang, and Sophie knows Penguin so long, and the fact that when I first saw the fact that he needed try desperately to stop Dr. Rush to do the cutting of the finger, I was like, whoa, and Sophie was right. He's just such a manipulator. He's such a selfish person. He's so egotistical person. Everything is about him, and he does care, but he just doesn't put the heart of it, towards people enough to really justify this, extreme measures he does sometimes. Or he's just such a, a-hole, it's just very funny to see him tuck his way out. But yeah, when she stabbed Penguin, I was really wow, that shock. And then seeing the young Oz, I was like, oh, come on. And then seeing the two sons, as ghosts and being soaked, because they were drowned. I was like, oh my god, this is so horror-like, very psychological, and I have experience with this, with someone I know has strokes before, but the way they depict illness is really great, and how they did it with the stroke is really true, and they did it the right way here.
You know what?
And,
I'm glad you brought that up really quick, because I was wondering this whole time, someone out there must be resonating with this whole Oz thing, because it's so real. It's so real. And I kind of had that with my grandfather a little bit before he passed, but it wasn't to this level of anything. So I love that you brought that up. It kind of goes back to it being relatable, right? I don't know. Yeah.
And so because last week they did a really good job of how she had her episodes, because that's always true how people have their episodes. Sometimes there's always on and off, as my mom say, when they have these kind of episodes. So it was really sad. I think the actress that plays the older mom was fantastic. I mean,
so
she
good.
really nailed. So
yeah,
great. And then after the stroke, of course Penguin gets really panicky and he starts killing the man, which was really brutal. By the way, very funny scene. I love when we see the cop again who has the drops, and I just like right away shut his eye, and it was like so funny. It's like it's like so like mafia, like Scorsese, like that's something I can see, like a Scorsese or Tarantino.
It's a great way to put it. Yep.
Yeah, and so the scene was really great. I thought Sophie really was great. I mean, top notch. I thought it was a great way. I said solve this whole torture thing. One thing I'm very happy I didn't bring this up earlier. I really appreciate the Penguin mom's relationship. That's something that the medium has done in the comic books as well. If you want to read a more deep psychological, that's Pain and Prejudice Penguin, great graphic novel. That's his Killing Joke, and they took aspects of that novel, and I really like that they expand upon this show, and I think they did such a great job with those relationships. Yeah, CC. Yes, Tony Soprano vibes as well. Yeah, it's very Sopranos like in this show. But yeah, I love this. It's a great section.
Well said. Agree with everything.
Sorry about my internet, guys. Cyber, what do you think, sir? Your thoughts?
Remind me where the ending point is again.
Before it actually goes before the bosses abandon Oz for Sophia and all that shit, like before then.
Okay. I mean, so this section, really kind of delves, deeper into kind of, Oz's kind of psyche. It really gives you a lot to, process of, kind of what, Oz has become as a man, what has led him to becoming the man he is, and kind of all the little intricate things that he's been putting into place the whole season to get to this point that he's at. And this, sequence, after he's been captured by, Sophia, which, by the way, the dress she was wearing, super hot. And, and so she, her, basically kind of her line of questioning and everything in this sequence is kind of interesting. Simply the fact that she thinks that she's out, witting Oz a lot here because she's captured him and everything. But if you think about it, as you go along, and even to the point where Oz is about to let his mother's finger get cut off without saying that, yes, I killed my brothers type of deal, and everything, he is the one with the upper hand this whole time, and he's so good at manipulating what he needs to do to get to where he is. And that's, why he's so good at, as this, monster type of character, as the Penguin. And I think this scene really shows, that his allegiance is to himself, and that, he only has like this fixation with his mother because that's the only way he can have complete dominance. He could be number one, that he could be the time. That's why he let his brothers drown. That's why he did this. And so this sequence kind of gives you a more of a clue into that, and into that psyche of Oz. And, the fact that the mother probably comes out and says that she's hated him this whole time and blah, 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 and stuff like that, this kind of cracks me up because, like, you literally you have some ailment going on, and yet somehow you still remember that grudge you have, and
true,
and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, that makes no sense there. So there's definitely something amiss there that we don't really get, fully into, but I still think that that's definitely not, that doesn't seem correct. And so I think that's interesting as they do that. And then, basically they break free, and, he gets away, which was really awesome. And, meets up with, why is his name blanking me? Vic, thank you. Meets up with Vic finally. And of course we get that, sweet little intro to Vic earlier in the episode. And I that was the first thing. As soon as I saw Vic, I'm like, oh, I'm like, Jeff will be happy. Vic's back. He's got a bigger part. And so I was like, oh yeah, great. And so like Vic coming into the picture again was really great. And seeing him kind of like become, more into it and more at, Oz's side and stuff like that was really cool too. And, basically leading up to our exit point, the whole seizure that the mother has, that was quite interesting at that point. So once again, going back to that whole idea, like, she's not right in the head to begin with. We've seen all the episodes she's had during the season, and then all of a sudden now she has a stroke. So it's kind of like, wow, like they really took Oz's mom to the whole new level here. And so I think that this section of the episode definitely is very interesting. It's very well done. I thought all the actors were really good. I thought Sophie was fantastic. Oz was fantastic. The woman that played the mother, I thought she did a fantastic job. And I think it was just a really solid section of the episode that kept you gripping in. But at the same time, a little lackluster a little bit too for me, which I was surprised because it's been such a strong series. So I was a little lackluster there when they started kind of going in that direction with the mother. So other than that, solid section of the episode that, I think gets us from point A to point B.
Okay, so meanwhile, the local bosses abandon Oz for Sophia, who puts out a bounty for Oz as she prepares to leave Gotham. Vic arranges for the bosses to be murdered by their deputies who help Oz abduct Sophia. Instead of killing her, Oz has his police contacts return her to Arkham. Oz and Vic visit Frances to celebrate, only to learn that she's entered a vegetative state, causing Oz to break down. Deciding that Vic has seen too much, Oz reluctantly murders Vic. So I'll stop there. Going back to you, Cyber, what do you think of that? That's a big chunk of the episode. The last question I'll have will be for the final part of the episode, the final section. But what do you think of that section I just laid out?
I mean, to turn the tables on Sophia like they did. Where she's thinking that she's winning was really awesome. And the fact that she is getting sent back to Arkham, I was like, whoa, that's even more fucked up than killing her. I'm like, damn. So I thought that was a really great way of getting revenge at Sophia for everything that she's done and kind of for, Penguin to really start moving his way up to where he needs to be. And, I think that was really, interesting. And I mean, her lighting up the house, and burning it would crack me up because I'm like, dude, you totally could have sold that and made some money off of it. Why are you fucking burning it? I'm like, that was just stupid. And I'm like, you could have done something with that. You could have used it or something. I was just like, wow, that's kind of dumb. But the fact that, that she does that, I'm just like, really shows how crazy she's gotten since her time in Arkham. And just, puts more iteration on how she can become a really fantastic villain, like 100% villain. If she does end up being in the Batman 2, which supposedly she's supposed to be. And so I think that that whole sequence was done really well. I love that whole, mystery and just kind of thought process to leading up to her getting arrested instead of Oz actually making it seem like he was just going to shoot her. And I mean, those guys ended up, being the Asian guys being on their side. I thought that was kind of interesting. And I was happy that, they ended up still being on Oz's side. And, but I love how Vic really stepped it up in that scene and he shot a whole bunch of people and stuff like that. And that was so cool, which makes his death even worse. It's like, seriously, you have him through this whole freaking season and then you have him kill him. I'm like, oh, this fucking sucks. I was so disappointed here. And I was like, are you kidding me? And as he's strangling him, he's like, Oz, please, please. You're just like, Oz, stop strangling him. Please, Oz.
Yeah.
I know you think you have to do this because it makes you feel vulnerable, but still, you still got your freaking vegetative mother. Okay? I don't get that. His obsession with his mother cracks me up. And, the fact that, that scene in the hospital where he finds out that she's in a vegetative state, I'm like, how she was sitting there and like like being like a vegetative state, being kind of like frozen. I was like going, where's the blooper reel? I want to see the blooper reel because I'm sure they were cracking up at this sequence as they were trying to do it, because her face as she's like in vegetative state was like it kind of cracked me up. I was like, I've seen some real vegetated people, and they don't look like that, but okay. And so I'm like, that was kind of funny looking. It cracked me up. But still I thought very emotional. They tried to make it, and it really was like a breakdown. Penguin and Vic's, kind of conversation after that is so powerful right before it kills him. You're just like, holy crap, they really just try to push the emotion sequence there. They really give you like a good 10-minute long there, I felt. And just really interesting, very powerful stuff that sucks. And overall, still, I thought very fun scene, very well done, and was really enjoyable.
Okay, Nick, what are your thoughts, sir? Do you have any thoughts on that section of the episode that I just laid out?
Yeah, well said, Cyber. I agree with everything you said there. As far as one thing goes, I mean, Sophia came close. She was so close. She was literally at the airport. Like, my God, she was just like, well, everything's packed. My house is on fire, and I'm basically out of here. Probably going to, what is it, that mansion that they mentioned in Italy. And then it all flipped on her. And I thought that Oz was going to kill her. He didn't. He sent her ass back to Arkham, which is so dark. That was the turning point for me. Like, yeah, that was actually probably the turning point where I was like, okay, like now Oz is not really someone I can root for. Like, that's bad. Like, that's bad. And he's the reason that she's back there again. So on that note, though, something really interesting happened. She got a letter from Selena Kyle, right? It looks like Rush is working back at the hospital, probably to be there with her, maybe free her. We don't really know. But
I was going to mention that, obviously.
Yeah, Selena Kyle writes a letter to her, and Cyber, going back to your point, it's not confirmed, but I know it's floating around there that Sophia will be in the Batman 2. I hope she is. I think that'd be phenomenal if she was. I mean, that's probably teeing her to get out somehow, but it doesn't really make sense to me. And I'm not going to ask what you guys think was in the letter, because who knows, but I'm confused as to why I guess maybe she's just, Selena wrote her a letter because they are half sisters. But like, as far as Selena knows, based off of all of the media coverage, all of the stories, all of the rumors, everything, she is still the Hangman. She's still this crazy person. What would Selena be writing to her other than, hey, you're my half sister? We're related. I don't know if you knew this, but this is who I am. I couldn't imagine anything else. Do you guys? I don't know. I really don't know what could be in that letter, but based off of what we know Selena knows about Sophia, she has nothing to say. Nothing to say. Right? I don't know.
Yeah, that was an interesting tidbit, putting Selena into the story.
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
yeah,
I can see this version of Catwoman to be more ambition, similar to the Penguin and the Riddler, these versions, where she wants to take over the Falcone and like the Empire.
Oh,
because remember, right. She is, because in the comic books and particularly this version of the Batman, it's been confirmed that she is, the half, daughter of, Kamai Falcone. And I never seen this in the comic books, but the idea of maybe Catwoman taking up, the underworld, as this, kingpin, is actually makes a lot of sense because she's part of this family, and the fact that she probably knows the truth about, I don't know how she knows the truth, but like I think that's something we'll kind of learn in the Batman Part 2, where she sees an eye for Sophie, and they could team up to take down, the Penguin, and then that's probably how we do it. Another one I could think of is maybe somewhat like, I don't know if this is the other villains are tricking Sophie to maybe join in, like the Riddler Joker, because that's something, we don't know what's going on with those two. and I could see her joining up a villain team up of them taking over the city.
Yeah, that crossed my mind too, Andres. But I don't think so. But that crossed my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like the one I talked about with Catwoman makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the predictable outcome. But this universe, the Reeseverse, is anything but predictable. So I don't know. There was an interesting tidbit. If I had to be like super nitpicky, I almost wish they didn't add that Selena Kyle letter. I don't know. It just didn't really make a ton of sense to me. But that's being ultra nitpicky, whatever. Just to kind of get back to the good stuff, Jeff. I know we're tight on time here, so I want to make sure that we're punctual. But going back to Vic dying, I do want to make a little case here that I have that like Vic kind of sealed his fate the moment he didn't go to California with that pretty girlfriend of his that like clearly had feelings for him. I mean, he had it all. He had it all. She was going for a new life. He could have done the same. She seemed like a healthy choice. I really think it boiled down to greed and ambition, and he just really wanted to be like a somebody. So he willingly chose. He, pretty much willingly chose to be a loyal part of this whole charade, and he paid the price. And it can be hard to feel sorry for someone who kind of dug their own grave, because that is kind of what he did. I think it was a matter of when, not if. Someone killed him. He died by Oz. I mean, there's no good way that this pans out for him, right? Batman gets him. The list is like goes on and on and on and on and on. So I don't know. That's just me. But my last point, and then I can wrap up here, is that I knew Vic was sealed when he said we're like family. I immediately knew it was going to happen, because even Penguin said fuck right after Vic said that. It wasn't like a fuck, you're right, kid. It was like a fuck. Like, I know what I have to do because you're a point of weakness, and Penguin and family don't really go next to each other. So he died, and it's sad. It was a sad ending for a sad character, and this episode was a tragedy. It was a very tragic end for everything. So that kind of wraps up my point. I could keep going. I have a ton of notes on that, but those are the main points right there, Jeff, to your point.
All right, Andreas, what do you think, sir?
I thought this section was amazing. I mean, it was very unpredictable because I didn't know what was going to happen. Of course, I think Vic and the character Link, like I think he got behind the Penguin's like words, and seeing Sophie, like really turned down the legacy of the Falcones by burning the house that she's been living for like so many years. It's a really good symbolism of her leaving that past out, because she's now a new person. She took her mom's maiden name, the John Gigante in the episode 5. I try to remember correctly. And so I thought that was really great symbolism there, because she was cocky, and she didn't expect anything, and of course that first off, as a Batman fan, I was so hyped when I heard was it Goodwin in the Natural. If anyone knows that, that's the writer Archie Goodwin, who wrote a couple of the Batman books. So it was great to hear that comic book writer's name. If anyone knows, Robbinsville is the name after Frank Robinson, who created Man-Bat in the comic books.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you hear those names. There are references to the comic book artists or writers for the Batman books, like so many years. And so when my favorite shot was when say like you want to shoot him there, or you want to like drop him in the Galactic to see if the Penguin can fly. It was so funny, and like she was like, nah, and then Penguin, we come to Penguin, and like you see the face, it's like kind of smirking, and it's like something's really off there. And then we have the shootout, was really great, typical mafia, like gangster, like stakeout, like turn, and and then I was very scared for Sophie because I love her, and I just knew, and this is one of the things that's made this show great, is they pay off like or pay off something from the beginning, or like they circle back something that's been important to these characters. And the fact that we went back to seeing Penguin driving Sophie like he did in the flashback when he became up to the Falcone family, and I really dug that. And you seen him talking to Sophie, about how you haven't lived desperate, you haven't had to make ends meet like him or the other gangsters that were under these like top leaders, and that speech was very true, and that's how like
very
portray his, and it was very true, and that's how we see this very classic like Godfather Part 1 and 2, montage of seeing the the old the how you say the old regime getting taken down by the new because of that, and that really summarized like how Penguin this word has like he really tricked them and like thinking about this like you can take down the city and like be remembered by their name, as he said before in episode 5, and or episode 6, and of like, look, we've been under these like rich elite crime family. It's now time for us to rise up and make a name for ourselves. That's what people wants to be. And so I think that was a really conversation, and yeah, it was the greatest burn ever of him putting Sophie again in Arkham, which was really great. And we saw that with the court. It's like, look, to that corrupt councilman, right? Here, pin this to Sophie. She's the one that did the Crown Point explosions, and Sam Murray was doing the drugs. Like he just did it so perfectly as a mastermind villain, or gangster, whatever. So I really thought that was really great. And obviously, seeing Dan coming back to the mom, I felt really bad for the mom for what she's going through. I do agree with Cyber about like that she remembers, but I really like that because it just adds some ambiguity if like that she knows or not, despite the flashback we got here. But it was also for therapy, so we don't know. Like these were properly memories, that were.
Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she a reliable narrator? I don't know.
Exactly. So I think Cyber brought up a really good point. And I was thinking about because I saw it the second time and I was like, yeah, I was thinking about that, but I was not sure. But it makes a lot of sense. And I think that's why Penguin probably still holds her. Yeah, it was a great dramatic scene. I mean, coming from a great actor. I mean, he just kills it.
Oh God.
This whole season, and when he like begs his mom, please say something, I was totally feel for him with that moment. And then, of course, the Vic thing. Yeah, I was wondering what was going to happen to Vic. It was either Sophie or Sal was going to kill him, or of course, Batman maybe. But I mean, we knew Batman was not going to be here, so he was going to be fine. But yeah, when Vic was talking to Penguin, I'm like, okay, this is not good. And when you say Nick, when you say we are family, I was like,
yeah,
I was like, why you say that?
I know.
And that was, and of course when Penguin say, fuck, and I was like, oh man, when it's similar to the Penguin first episode, is like he totally missed that, because he killed Roberto there. But here it was like, oh God, I have to kill her because I cannot show weakness. I need to show strength. And
he knows how it works out for him when he has a point of weakness, just like his mom, how that worked out catastrophically for him. And he cares about Vic too, which is why he killed him, which goes to like the point of like why whenever Batman in the comics, Penguin goes to Arkham, he's criminally insane. He's not just some thug. He's not just some guy who's out there like he's criminally insane. And Jeff, I'm sure you're going to take it to like that final part with, the true ending there, because that just shows that Penguin's lost it. He's lost all remaining emotional human connection. He's criminally insane is the best way to put it. Yeah.
But what was really sad, well, it was, and this, this is where you don't like the Penguin, like the fact he takes his money and then throws his ID to the water, and it's like, oh my God, really, dude?
Well,
You know,
yeah.
it just shows him as a gangster. You know, like he was like, you know.
Yeah, it shows him as a gangster, but also on that point, I think he tried to make it look like a mugging. So he took the wallet, took the money out of the wallet, and then left.
True.
That's why I was like, I don't know, is he trying to? Because that was my first thing. I was like, dude, have some form of pity and
Nick,
shame.
let Andres finish, and then I'll go back to you if you have any other thoughts.
No. I like his thoughts here.
Yeah, just agreeing with you, Andre. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm fine.
I don't mean to cut you
just
off.
No. You're kind of. I really like this conversation. No. I didn't think about Penguin like make it out as a mugshot, but it makes a lot of sense with that. That makes a lot of sense actually. And of course he's smart. Like he knows what he's doing to like make everything like. I mean he framed Sophie, so that makes a lot of sense. But overall, I was really like well, I don't know, like under my seat, you know, tense with my seat, you know, with this section. I thought it's one of the best hour of entertainment. So I'm really excited to talk about the finale or the last parts of the episode.
Well, I mean, as Nick already mentioned, obviously we all see that we do get the letter from Selena Kyle to Sophia in Arkham, and we see Oz take Francis in a vegetative state to his new penthouse suite where he dances with Eve dressed as Francis as the bat signal shines in the sky. And basically Eve is pretending to be Francis, like pretending to be his mother and everything. So guys, give me your final thoughts on the episode. Give me your rating for the episode and your final thoughts on the series. Okay. This will be your last question. And then we're going to plug out of here and then we're going to call it a night. So I'll start with you, Cyber.
All right. So the ending of the episode, I just thought it was kind of lackluster. I didn't think it was anything to really call home, for the episode. I mean, everything up to this point was pretty, interesting, very exciting, and then all of a sudden, just to have it, kind of give you that final, kind of sanction there of seeing Dr. Rush back at the hospital at Arkham, and then Sophia getting that letter from Selena Kyle, which cracked me up. I was like, wow, she's supposed to be half sisters with Selena Kyle. I'm like, Catwoman. I'm like, what? And for me, it seems like her going back to Arkham is a way of her teaming up with the Joker, and that to me is kind of the direction that maybe the Batman 2 is going to be going into. But I'm not saying that 100%, but I have a feeling that the Joker will reappear because there's been a lot of chatter on him. But that scene there, her being back in Arkham, for her to be able to get back out, and I feel like the Joker is her way, or maybe Catwoman, I don't know. But I think that was kind of interesting that they have her have the letter from Selena Kyle out of nowhere. I thought that was very interesting. But the whole thing, the obsession that Oz has with his mother is very unhealthy. And it's kind of weird how he's having the prostitute portray his mother. And it's kind of like, do you have sexual relations with the prostitute as your mother there, Ozzy? Do you have sexual desires for your mother there, bud? And that's kind of the level I feel the end of this episode really goes towards, like him having this prostitute play his mother. He has his mother there in a bed in this like a locked place there, and you're just kind of like, okay, that's an interesting way of ending the episode. All right, and ending the series. Okay. Yeah. So I felt like it could have been a lot better. I mean, having the bat signal pop up at the end, that was cool. I enjoyed that, showing that, Batman is there, because that's one thing a lot of people were mentioning throughout this series so far. I've seen a few different people mention it, is where is Batman in all of this with all these explosions and shit going on? Like, why hasn't he been there? Why hasn't he popped up? And the one thing that I could come up with in my thought process was, well, don't forget, remember that the Batman, he's only supposed to be in his second year as Batman.
Yes.
So he's not as prolific as he was as if we had him as a more mature Batman, like a Michael Keaton or a Ben Affleck Batman, or, any other Batman version we've seen. So he definitely, I don't think he was as active in his, first couple years as he was later on. So that's kind of, where I think is what happened there is one of the reasons why he wasn't up, coming to the rescue when all these explosions and shit were happening. So I thought, having the bat signal at the very end was kind of a nice little tie-in to the Batman Part 2, or just the Batman in general, that universe, giving that, saying, yes, this is Gotham, Batman is there, and stuff like that. So the Batman signal, I think, was the best part of the ending. The whole Oz and his mother thing, it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. If they get a second season of this, or if they, end up having him in the Batman 2 and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. But overall, I think that the ending was, like I said, lackluster for me. Not the greatest ending, but still overall a very satisfying episode. And I would have to give the episode, I would say, a 7. I have to give it a 7. Because I thought that it had great parts, but there was a few lackluster things that could have made it a better final episode of the series. Which, like I said, from the get-go, this series has been so freaking good. I was just really surprised that they kind of pumped the brakes at the end of this, this final episode. So I was a little shocked by that. But overall, I think a very solid episode.
Okay, Nick.
Yeah, well said, Cyber. Agree with most of your points. I say most because I actually left this episode fat and happy. I was really happy to see that this concludes Oz basically becoming the Penguin, transitioning into the full-fledged. He's at the top. This is the end of the show. I really appreciated that because I as it is a year 2 story for Batman, I'm always like, oh, like he's not proactive Batman yet. He's reactive, which is why I agree with you. I don't think he was there. I don't think he was on it enough to be there. Stop these things before from happening. Stop this huge gang war that's going to change Gotham probably forever. I left happy in the sense of I hate Penguin. I hate him. I don't like him. I was rooting for him. And it became progressively less and less and less and less and less. And now it's to a point where I just can't resonate with the character at all. I love to hate him, though. I love to hate him. I want to see more of him. And it is confirmed that he's going to be in the Batman Part 2 by Matt Reeves. He posted it on Instagram or Twitter. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. But so more Penguin is coming. To that, I am elated by. I think Colin Farrell's exceptional. I would have loved to see, and maybe it's a little silly, maybe you guys will disagree, I would have loved to see like Penguin beat someone to death. Like, I don't know, maybe when he's fighting what's the gangster he killed, if anybody wants to chime in. I forget the guy's name. Who is that?
Sal Moroni.
Sal Moroni. Maybe if there was like an umbrella right there and he like choked him to death with an umbrella, or I don't know. I would have loved to see something just with an umbrella, just because it would have been like, like there it is. But that didn't happen, and maybe it's for the best because maybe it would have been silly. I don't know. But overall, I want to see more Penguin. That's really all I have to say. I enjoyed the episode in the sense that it was kind of finite. Like, this is it. He's at the top. Here we go. Like, Penguin is Penguin. And I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more of like him take on the name Penguin. I don't know, somehow, as something in some way, shape, or form, because it's almost like he hates it. It's an insult to him, which I think is great. But I would have liked to seen him own it and just become like the Penguin. I don't know. But overall, I loved the episode. I loved the show. I can't wait to see more. That's pretty much all I got to say.
Okay. Andres.
Sure. Yeah. So I think I'm with both Saber and Nick. I like how we ended the show, but I think I want a bit more. But because we're getting the Batman 2, there's a lot of unsolved questions that I have that, I kind of wish they answer, but, I have to wait, another 2 years to, get that with the Batman Part 2. So I'm happy, that the Penguin's coming back for the Batman Part 2. I did have some nitpicks. Like, I mean, I get the mom, like, he has this sick obsession with the mom, but, like, why keep her alive? Like, you killed Vic so that you want to show your strength, and now you're still keeping her to like even cause more trouble for you, for even Batman to like use that against you, right? If Batman finds out you have the brother,
I thought that
I
too.
just like, yeah. So I can see that something that Batman will use to like, just force Penguin to do something for him to, get one of these villains and, et cetera, et cetera. I really say my piece with the Catwoman thing. And CC brought this up. I mean, Selena was a Batman villain first, before she became an anti-hero. Like, and the ending of the Batman, Robert Pattinson's Batman chose the life of crime, fighting crime. And so, Catwoman, made the decision to leave Bloodhaven with we don't know what. And I say before, she maybe has this ambition to take over, Falcon's empire, and and maybe she discovered the time she was in Bloodhaven to, connect to Sophie and maybe take down Penguin or whatever in Batman Part 2 or something like that. But I think people we're talking about like why we cannot see Batman in the show. I think if you're not going to show me the Batman, I think you could easily bring in Zoe Kravitz, the Catwoman, actually coming in and talk to her in like that visiting center for prisons. Like she visited her in real person. I think that could have been more satisfying than this card thing. I feel like it was a little I don't know, anticlimactic. And then Dr. Rush, I'm like, who is this character? I mean, I just feel like he's just a love interest. He's no Scarecrow. They're not gonna like change the name for Scarecrow to be John Crane. I think he could be a good Candler man. I feel like that could make a lot of sense, but I don't know. But we'll see. But I think he's just there as a love interest for Sophie. But yeah, then we get the moment I was like so happy to see is seeing Penguin in his proper, like tuxedo, like it was so cool, and see his top hat was really great to see. We didn't see him wearing it, but like it was cool that he hold that. We saw a new car, purple car, was great. Another fancy
Rolls
car.
Royce.
Really? Okay. So that was really cool. I kind of wish we have an umbrella here, but he had it in the first episode, so I guess I was like,
he did. And actually, to your point with the top hat, when he put that on, it was next to an umbrella. So there's the Easter egg.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I do want him to have a weaponized like umbrella, like a knife. It's not going too fantastical. I always like those umbrellas.
I agree.
But I really wish it. But it was cool to see Colin Farrell like being the Penguin. He looks great. I mean, it's just perfect. Again, I complain why he's keeping his mom alive, but it's just the sick like thing of like, look, mom, I did it. Like he actually did it. He came on top. At the end of the show, like he did. But he had to sacrifice like just squeeze out so much power to like get to this point. And then seeing Eve. Oh, that was another thing. Another nitpick. I'm surprised that we didn't address the Eve betrayed Penguin to Sophie about the location, but maybe we'll get that in the part 2. Maybe that's something that I was kind of curious if they're going to address that. But I mean, if he finds out, he's going to kill Eve. Like the fact that he killed Vic, but it's different. Like it's different circumstances. Like he's not afraid to kill people that's very close to him. So the fact that he did to Vic, I think there's a good chance that we see Eve will be killed by the Penguins on maybe some point, but we'll see. But it was very creepy to see her dressed like the mom. And I was like, okay. And then we see him in this high building. It was really cool. And the bat scene came. It was great. I really liked that. It reminded me of the Tim Burton films, how their ending was. Like, we pan out and see the bat scene like shine. That was really cool. But yeah, I really enjoyed this show. I guess I will rate this episode a 9 out of 10. I think it's a great finale. Not my favorite I seen this year. Like it has to be either Shogun or 97, X-Men 97. So, but it's top there, as finales. But yeah, it was a fantastic show. I will sorely miss it. It's one of the best comic book shows I've seen. It's up there with the Daredevil season 1 and 3, X-Men 97, One Division we brought off, Loki season 1. But yeah, it's one of the top comic book shows. It made me like Penguin as a character, as I said before. So I'm very excited to see the future of this version of Batman, and Batman Part 2 in 2026.
Okay. All right. So that's it for the Penguin. We are done. And to start us off, to wrap up tonight, Nick, why don't you go ahead and tell us about Geekable Podcast?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So Geekable started as an idea 3 years ago. I'm an avid comic book fan. I ran this with a friend of mine. We configured an app for writers and comic book artists and stuff, and we kept the idea going. And we had weekly discussions because we had weekly pull list, right? So it started as a comic, but we were just like, you know what? We're talking about comics a lot. Why don't we podcast it? So the idea was born. Geekable became a thing. Yeah, I see you pulling up our Apple podcast there. We've great reviews, great episodes, really fun stuff. We talk about everything, MCU, DCU, comics, whatever's in the news, whatever's hot, whatever we're liking, whatever we're hating. Yeah, it's just another podcast out there. I been, weekly updates, weekly episodes. Yeah, definitely give us a try. There's a lot out there, Jeff. I appreciate the plug, and yeah, it's awesome. Oh, yeah, cool. We got some good reviews, it looks like. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of fun. A lot of good stuff. Would love to have you guys on at some point too in the future onto Geekable, and hopefully get some listeners for you guys, maybe from us on our side of the house.
Most definitely. That'd be great. We'd appreciate that.
Totally.
Thank you, Nick. Andres, what's going on over at Andres, the Pop Culture Guy?
Not much. Just recently posted a scene from Casino Royale. If you checked it out, that was part 2 of the park chase early in the Casino Royale film. As yesterday, I want to say thank you, Jeff, for joining me to do the live stream review of Casino Royale. It was really fun. Yeah. So tomorrow I'm gonna post my two-parter, my top 20 favorite episodes of The Flash. As you know, The Flash TV show has its 10th anniversary, so I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna do No Time to Die movie preview and Respect the Slash review this week. So that's where I'm at. A very Bond week still. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Plus, this Wednesday I'm gonna do a live stream pop culture recap on the Penguins finale, and I'm gonna discuss No Time to Die as a movie review, and pretty much and discuss Superman Lois episode 6 and 7 episodes. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Just want to say it was great to see you, Nick. You were great in the show. Thank you for coming.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you everyone for joining us tonight for this Penguin finale discussion and recap.
Okay. Cyber.
Hello, people. Well, if you want to join me here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, or if you enjoy me as a moderator or a guest panelist, you can check out my solo content. You can find me under Cyberneticshark on YouTube, TikTok, X, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon. You can find me anywhere. Just look under Cyberneticshark, all one word, folks. As you can see there, my most recent trailer reaction there is for Moana 2, which comes out the end of this month. Looking forward to checking that out when it comes out. Did enjoy the first one, so hopefully this one will be a decent addition to the Walt Disney Animation Studios. If you haven't seen Smile 2 yet, definitely check out my review there. Or if you have seen it, check out my review. As you can see there, I got my Smile 2 review up. My most recent short is of a horror film from Hulu called Mr. Crockett. It's actually based off of a short story that the director did a few years back and decided to make it to a full-length feature. Actually, a really great horror film. If you have not seen it, did my little mini review on it. We'll be doing probably a full review of it eventually, but it's a solid horror film. I was really shocked by it. It was a great concept, great idea, and Elvis Kaluuya, he is amazing as the main villain. He is absolutely fantastic. If you have not seen it, definitely check out that mini review, guys. But yeah, I'll be having more stuff up for you guys soon. Some more trailer reactions, more reviews of some films that recently came out in the last couple weeks. And yeah, just keep on trucking, keep on subscribing, keep on adding us, keep on watching us. Make sure to check us out on the MCU's Bleeding Edge as well, and all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, thanks all for those that are subscribed and watching us. We appreciate you.
I'll subscribe tonight.
All right. Well, thanks to Nick. Thanks, Cyber. Thanks, Andres, the pop culture guy. Thank you, everybody out there, everybody in the live section. We appreciate all of you. Thank you very much, CCC, for the comments. And God bless everybody. We'll see you the next time. Take care. Peace.
Thanks, guys.